Welcome back to another exciting video. Today we are going to 4 men set out on a mission to retrieve a fish trap from the USS Fred T destroyer's submerged wreckage near Key West on June 17, 1973. They employed the Edwin Albert Link produced submersible Johnson Sea Link. The expedition, however, took a catastrophic turn that put 2 divers in serious trouble. Seward Johnson, the creator of the Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute, requested that Edwin Albert Link construct the Johnson Sea Link, a deep-sea submarine. Link had previously created a submersible called the Deep Diver for lockout diving, and the Johnson Sea Link was its replacement. A diving excursion known as lockout diving is performed from a diving submersible. Deep Diver was deemed hazardous by the Bureau of Ships in 1968 if used at extremely cold temperatures or considerable depths. This is due to the fact that certain of the Deep Diver's steel components typically become brittle in cold weather or water. In order to accommodate a forward pilot or observer compartment, Edwin Albert Link constructed the Johnson Sea Link with a distinctive plastic bubble. The Smithsonian Institution launched and commissioned the Johnson Sea Link in January 1971. This new submersible replaces the Deep Diver. 2 crew members could fit in each of the submersible's 2 compartments. The back storage area was designed for lockout diving. 2 divers who are restrained by the ocean's surrounding pressure are given entrance. The submersible can perform this duty while submerged in water. A 5-foot diameter acrylic sphere was used to create the pilot's front compartment. This gives the spectator and the pilot a complete view of the ocean. An air conditioner was attached to the back starboard side of the acrylic sphere. The Johnson Sea Link set sail on dive 130 from Edwin Link's research vessel, the Sea Diver, which was 15 miles away from Key West, Florida, on June 17, 1973, just 2 years after its launch. The goal of the mission was to get a fish trap back from the warship USS Fred T. Bethlehem Steel Company built the destroyer USS Fred T. in San Pedro, California. A destroyer is a fast, adaptable, and durable vessel that defends larger ships in a fleet, convoy, or battle group against powerful close-range attacks. The USS Fred T. was launched on January 28, 1945, but it wasn't put into service until May 12, 1945. It was around 391 feet in length, with a beam of about 41 feet and a draft of about 6 meters. Fred T. received 2 stars for her careful service during the Korean War in 1950, when she screened carriers conducting strikes into combat. The Underwater Explosives Research Division sank the Fred T. in May 1972 as part of an experiment. It is currently submerged about 370 feet off Key West. Because of its depth and the need for gas mixes, the Fred T. is not at all a dive site for recreational divers. Instead, it was sunk to create a man-made wreck for professionals or trained divers. The Johnson Sea Link had 4 workers on board on the day of the incident. The pilot is 30-year-old Archibald "Jock" Menzies, who has flown the Johnson Sea Link roughly 100 times. An observer in the forward compartment was 27-year-old pressure physiologist and ichthyologist Robert MEEK. The diving director of the Smithsonian Institution and the son of Edwin Albert Link, Edwin CLAYTON Link, was 31 years old. He was in the back compartment, acting as an observer. Albert Dennison Smokey Stover, a 51-year-old rear compartment observer, was the final person to leave the Johnson Sea Link submersible. Given the dangers the operation could present to them, Menzies, Link, and Stover were not properly prepared for dive 130. Because a lockout dive was never in the cards for Link and Stover, they were only dressed casually, shorts and t-shirts. When MEEK saw what these 2 divers were wearing, he cautioned them that it was cold down there before they boarded the submersible. The 4 divers carried out their strategy, although they were unsuccessful in retrieving the fish trap that was their intended objective. The team ran into a problem in the depths after this futile attempt at recovery. When the Johnson Sea Link was turning away from the sinking ship, 360 feet underwater, the Fred T. debris caught up with it. The Sea Diver immediately informed the U.S. Coast Guard of this sad situation, and they requested assistance from the naval divers. However, the warning indicated that there was no immediate danger to the Johnson Sea Link. The naval authorities dispatched the submarine rescue ship USS Tringa from Key West in response to this notice. The squad had to come up with strategies to save themselves because the Tringa wasn't yet at the rescue location. The crews of Johnson Sea Link and Sea Diver considered using the submersible's lockout capability to save one of the guys in the diving compartment in order to remove the submersible from the cable, while attempting to rescue the men inside. But Link and Stover, who were in the diving chamber, were thought to be in danger from this choice. They'll be vulnerable to oxygen poisoning. The pilot compartment's carbon dioxide levels were increasing as they awaited Tringa's arrival. The carbon dioxide scrubber was no longer functional, so they were unable to use it. Menzies took off his shirt and filled the absorbent barrel lime with all the carbon dioxide remaining in the scrubber canister. Then he allowed the circulating fans of the air conditioner to blow on it, lowering the level of carbon dioxide in the pilot's cabin. For 61 hours in the diver compartment and 42 hours in the pilot compartment, the sea diver team intended to manage the carbon dioxide levels in the submersible. However, they never take into account the possibility that the barium in the diver compartment would lose its effectiveness owing to the cold. Because it has a lower heat transfer coefficient than the diver compartment's aluminum hull, the pilot compartment's acrylic plastic hull was hotter. The Tringa arrived at the scene of the accident around 4:15 p.m. Tringa thereupon constructed a 4-point connector across the Johnson sea link. The temperature inside the aluminum diver compartment had dropped significantly by this point and was approximately identical to the ambient ocean temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit. The barley in the diver compartment ran out of capacity by 10 o'clock. Link and Stover were using air-supplied masks to breathe as of 10:25 p.m. The hull of the Fred T. Berry prevented 2 divers from the Tringa from entering the Johnson sea link. The 2 divers refused to comply with their plan to force Link and Stover to participate in a lockout dive. Menzies and the sea diver team ultimately decided against performing a lockout dive. By 12:38 a.m. on June 18, they considered doing a lockout dive once more, but Link and Stover were now too cold to consider such a course of action. They have been rapidly losing body heat as a result of breathing a gas mixture of helium and oxygen. Additionally, the ambient pressure over the ocean began to match that of the diver's compartment. Menzies was forced to come to the surface and report on Link and Stover's health. When it was 1:12 a.m., they'd briefly lost the ability to communicate with Link and Stover via audio at one point. The Tringa then attempted a second rescue attempt, which also failed. On June 18, it was already late afternoon, and the A.B. Wood Eye commercial salvage vessel was also dispatched to the accident area. A mobile podium-equipped underwater television camera was included with this watercraft. It came from the Florida-based Naval Ordnance Laboratory in Fort Lauderdale. They located the Johnson sea link by using this camera, which featured a clasping hook. They lifted it to the surface by fastening it to a propeller shroud on the Johnson sea link. At 4:53 p.m. on June 18, the Johnson sea link was hauled to the surface. Menzies and MEEK were transferred from the Johnson sea link to the Tringa's decompression chamber. However, the Johnson sea link's diver's compartment was still under pressure, making it dangerous to try to extract Link and Stover if they are still alive. They consequently loaded the submersible onto the sea dive. Link and Stover were both visible to the rescue team, but they were no longer displaying any signs. To raise the temperature in the chamber, they added hot water and helium-oxygen gas mixtures by force. The medical professionals who treated Link and Stover on the morning of June 19 declared them dead. In order to bring their bodies to the Florida Keys Memorial Hospital in Key West, they depressurized the compartment. According to the results of the 2 bodies' autopsies, they both passed away from respiratory acidosis, caused by carbon dioxide poisoning. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you like what you saw, click the bell icon, like, and subscribe buttons to be notified when we post another thrilling cave diving story.